Well, if like me, you weren't sure you heard it right the first time or the second time or even the third, Donald Trump has spoken loud and clear now about his intentions for our great nation. Trump has proclaimed that we should be the 51st state. And with that has come talks of tariffs and annexation and a whole lot more that it turns out now needs to be explained and taken seriously. Here with the legal and constitutional perspectives of what Mr. Trump is talking about is constitutional lawyer and Professor Frédéric Bérard. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
That's my pleasure.
Okay, so when Trump talks about annexation, potentially, what is the legal background or legal option for something like that? What is he talking about?
Well, if he's talking about invasion, that's something else. I'll get back to that. But first option would be that the Canadians decide to join the USA by themselves. How can we achieve that? We would need first a referendum with a clear question. Question would be, would you like to become the next state of the USA? Then people are going to vote. Let's say if they vote no, obviously this option will not be useful. That's for sure. But if they decide to vote, we decide to vote yes, then we're going to have to amend the Canadian Constitution by the amending formula of the unanimity, which means that each and every parliament in Canada will have to accept the fact that we're going to be American soon. So that means that each provincial parliament and the federal parliament agree to that. So this is quite a challenge. Let's say that way.
Okay, so that would be the referendum. This talk of annexation, though, can he just annex us? Can the Americans just decide, okay, now you're now part of us? And because you use the term invasion, so is annexation another term for invasion? What does this mean exactly, legally speaking?
Actually, it's crazy to talk about that, but I don't see any other words. If we do not agree to join the USA, so obviously it means that they're going to try to annex us. If they try to annex us, this is called an invasion in international law. The problem is that with the United States, the Security Council has the right to come and defend us, militarily speaking. But the truth is, they won't do it. Why? Because on the Security Council, there are 5 permanent members with a right of veto, and one of them is, you figure it out,
the
USA.
States.
So they will never accept to send some military forces in Canada. So all that to say that I don't see, frankly, any kind of international norms that could be effective in order to stop that kind of invasion. Some people think that what about the NATO? Can it be used that way? I'm not sure, because both countries, Canada and USA, are part of the NATO. So I'm not sure that the European people will jump in
and interfere.
Yeah, especially because they know that they don't want to attack the USA. I'm quite sure of that. And legally speaking, if you have 2 members of NATO in the same way, I don't know how some people could, if those countries can join in.
Okay, but Professor, this is interesting because so now we're talking that NATO won't help. We're talking about the UN Security Council won't help. And we are not known for having a very strong military force here in Canada. What are the legal options here? What if this is actually, and again, I cannot believe I'm having this conversation, if this is actually something that is seriously being discussed, which seems to be heading in that direction, what are the legal options for Canadians, or are we just out of luck?
I will answer your question by another question. What are the legal options for Ukraine?
Okay. I see.
We would be in the same situation. Russia is part of the Security Council as well. And this has for result that the Security Council will not act against Russia in Ukraine. And that's the difference with the Kuwait. If you remember, in 1990, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, the Security Council did attack Iraq because that there were no Iraq had no support in the Security Council. It had no support in the United Nations neither. So that was quite easy. So all that to say that the United Nations has been constructed around the fact that all those powerful countries like USA, France, Russia, they have the right to veto. They have the right to stop any kind of military action, even though it's for peace, for instance.
So I think the last question is this something, as men who's also a political commentator, constitutional lawyer, professor, does this worry you? Should this be worrying us? I just, like I said, the first time I heard it, I said, well, this is just more of his talk, but he's doubling down on this. Are you concerned about this kind of talk?
You know what? I'm very pessimistic about the future for quite a few years right now. I wrote a few books about that, especially La fin de l'état de droit, et La terre est une poubelle en feu, and all that. But to be frank with you, I never thought that this could happen at one point. But when Trump started with those memes on Twitter and all that, saying that Trudeau is the governor of the 51 state and all that, I thought it was maybe joking.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me saying, well, this guy is never joking. This guy is serious. This guy is clearly dangerous. Let's be frank. So let's see what's going to happen. But honestly, I would not bet on the fact that he's only joking. That might be a joke the first time, the second time, but after 15 times, I'm not sure it's a real joke. Let's say that.
And Frédéric Bérard, again, you just said, and no one is coming for us. Okay, so thank you so much for this perspective. I know I really wanted to know the legal background on this. Frédéric Bérard, again, political commentator, professor, and lawyer, of course. Thank you so much for taking the time.
That's my pleasure, and I'm quite sure that we're going to talk about it later on.
Yeah, let's hold on to our passports, shall we? Okay, have a great one.